All right.
So fun.
Good morning. So me and Paige are going to hit chapters 3 and 4. And okay, let me just pull up my notes so we do this right. I think Paige, you're beginning, right?
Yes. Sorry, as I was about to drink. It's fine. I'm like, oh, I'll listen to Shelley. No, it's okay. We're just gonna kind of
That's up number 1.
number 1. We're gonna start there. Number 1. I hope you read these chapters. If you haven't, I've read them, I think 3 times now. And every time I read them, I get something more out of it. Like, oh yeah, that was so eye-opening. So if you read it and you think, oh, I can just set it down, like go back and read it again. It really is like so much more eye-opening the second time and the third time. So number 1, leaders focus on who they are becoming more than what they are getting. And I am a learner through stories, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about the life of Paige. And when I very first began Plexus, nothing prepared me for incentives. Nothing prepared me for the influx of money. Nothing prepared me for the gifts that Plexus would give. I had no idea. All I knew is that the very first thing that I had earned was that $600 Dyson blow dryer that I would never in a million years buy myself. Like I just wouldn't. And so the mindset, I was like, oh, I want to get the next incentive, and I want to get this cash, and I want to get this prize, and I want to get this gift. And it was so like nothing prepared me for that. And so, but that is not, in my opinion, perhaps leadership, right? Your leadership and your mindset changes when it's not about the incentives. Like, yes, they are great. Yes, they help. Um, the gifts are lovely, right? I mean, I can just like whisper into my husband's phone, I'm sure, and everything will come up on his feed of what to get me. But a leader's mindset is not about the activities, it's not about the rewards. They're focused on who they are becoming. And I think when you focus on the incentives and the money and the gifts and the this, it's very inward. It's very me driven. It's me driven. How hard can I work? How many people can I talk to? Me. Whereas when you shift that perspective, it is very much, how can I help you get to where you're going? And that is the leadership shift of not, just not being so inward focused, but more out. Shelley.
All right. So our hope, like Paige said, we're both storytellers and we both learn through stories. So we wanted to do this. We didn't want to tell you what's here because you read what's here, right? We wanted to relate stories in our life to help you understand it. And then we're going to talk about it. So when I read the things on the belief, the first thing that came into my head was the phrase, you can borrow my belief. I'll believe in you until you have enough. And there's truth to this, but we have to have a huge caution. So I have one example of an explanation of belief and then this little story. But what true belief is, like if you look at the definition, belief is knowing. If you were dropped onto this planet during the day and someone's like, all of a sudden the sun will go away and it will be dark, and you just didn't know anything, you'd be like, okay, well, I believe everyone said that, but how many hours will it come in? Like you wouldn't necessarily know. But during the day, none of us wonder if it's going to get dark at night. We know that we know. Like it's something that's in you that you know, and belief and believing in doing something is almost like faith. It's the evidence that you know what's going to happen. You might not have the evidence yet, but you know that it will happen and you're not concerned and you're not worried. And when you know something is happening, you come at it from a very, very different place. If you got in a car and didn't know where you were driving, you'd be very anxious and you'd be like, okay, here I'm going to a nice place, but like, will I get there? I don't know. I'm trusting this person. I've never been here. But when you've been to a destination or you trust the person driving, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get to the mountains. I just know that. I believe it. I'm not seeing them. They're not going to show up for 10 hours, but I know that. So belief is one of those things that you can transfer. Now, when I was in junior high, I was on the relay team and we practiced running for about 50% of it. The other 50%, we practiced passing the baton. So if you don't know relay races, there's 4 points to the track, and most of them, we did a 4-man relay, and there's a baton, and it's fairly big and it's fairly heavy. And the other person stands, and they have a very specific stance, and they look back, and when they see you hit a mark, they begin running. You have to match each other's pace, and then you hand the baton. It is a sharp. In order to do it well, you have to do it hard and firm, and the person has to grab it, and then they have to go. They don't grab it. They don't look at you and go, oh, like, is this right? They have to be ready. They have to grab it, and they have to run. And if you mess up at that point, 2 things will happen. You're going to do it wrong and be disqualified, or you're going to lose all kinds of time, unnecessary time. So literally, we would practice running, passing the baton, running, passing the baton. This is belief. Someone can believe in you if you don't believe in yourself, but at some point you've got to take the baton, because you have to move on, and they don't have time to constantly, year after year after year, be saying, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. At some point, you have to believe it, and you have to do it. So belief is something that if you do not have, you will not go anywhere, and you've got to figure out where the issue is and how to get that. Page number 3.
Okay. We were talking, and I think that 2 and 3 go together, like leaders. So chapter 2, leaders don't just believe they can, they know they will. And then leaders don't just show up, they show up with their mind right. And so, okay, I want to rewind a little bit and touch a smidge on chapter 2, because something just came to my mind. I had listened to like a sermon, I guess it would have been maybe a year or so ago. But what this man was saying was transformation and victory, like I'm going to say transformation, and victory are achieved in the dark. It's in the dark because it looks the same at 10 p.m. It's dark at 10 p.m., dark at 11, but you know the sun is coming. It's dark at midnight. It's dark at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I mean, if it's summer, sun's coming up at 4. But do you know what I mean? Like, victory and transformation is formed in the dark. So we believe that the sun will come up in the morning. We believe that we will get to that place. But chapter 3 is leaders don't just show up, they show up with their mind right. And so changing your thought from I can't do this to I can or I will, and from impossible to this is possible. This is very possible. And he says in the book, I can, I will, I am. I can, I will, I am. So that victory you might feel in the dark right now, victory is achieved in the dark. You might be in the dark, but the sun is coming. The sun is coming, right? You believe it, you know it. And he says in this chapter, getting your mind right. Don't go and talk to people if you don't believe it's not going to happen. Why are you talking to them? Why are you talking to people if you don't think you can build a business? Then what are you talking to them about? What's your purpose? Why would you do that? Right? And I know it might sound a little bit harsh, but it kind of is like, well, then what are you doing? And yes, we need to practice, and yes, we need to continually show up, but start to master and train your thoughts into, I can do this. I will do this. And otherwise, if you don't believe you can do it, you're kind of wasting your time, right? I feel anyway. That's he gives an example, and if you go back and read, he gives an example of his friend Liz, and she goes, oh, I have 3 days to get 3 people. And he's like, okay, cool. And she goes, no, it's impossible. And so I think, like what Shelley said with chapter 2, like leaning on the belief of others. When I hear, like, sometimes I'll be honest, when I get to month end and I'm like, oh, darn it, I need like a handful of people, and it worries me. And then I look at like what other sidelines are doing. They just brought in 12, they just brought in 22. And it's very inspiring and eye-opening. And to me, that's how I start to get my mind right, is I start to say, well, she's doing it, why can't I? And then get out of the want area and go for it. Shelley.
So for chapter 4, or for point 4 in this chapter, I think our health journey and our business journey are connected. So I want to share the beginning of my health journey, or it's not connected. It's the same mindset. It's the same process. Like getting your health and getting your business is often, you can talk about them kind of mutually. So when I started Plexus, you need to understand my sugar cravings were through the roof. I had I was at probably my worst health, and I started for the 2020 challenge. There was a challenge where you could win $10,000. And so it was hard. Like the first 3 days, like when you're used to eating sugar and when your cravings all over the map and you're feeling awful and you have no energy to get up and to work out and to not eat the stuff was so hard. Every thing I did when I wanted to have the snack, I was pretending in my brain. I was like, if you don't eat this, you will get $10,000. For not eating this one thing, you'll get $10,000. So at the end of the 2 months, I talked myself into it so much that when I didn't win, I was shocked. I was like, didn't they know that I was getting paid $10,000 for doing this? But I had so much more because I achieved the results. I think the hard thing in network marketing is in the very beginning, we're not getting often that immediate gratification. We're not getting those immediate quick fixes of getting all of the things. Yes, we'll get the customers, but there's so many no's and there's so many things we have to go through to get there. We're not getting that. So we have to create the momentum in our brain. And we have to tell ourselves, just like with health, if someone took their products for 2 days and said, you know what, Barb, I've been working out for 2 days. I've taken all the products you told me. I don't see a change. I'm not going to do this. You would be like, no, it's happening. You would be so frustrated. So why would we think in business it's any different? Why would we think that in 1 month of doing things really, really well, all of a sudden we're going to see results? We know that results are 90 days out. We know that things compound. We know all this stuff. And so in your brain, you have to say, if you did these things every day, just like I did with my weight loss, if you did these things every day, 5 days a week for the next year, and you would be at a 6-figure income, would you do it? We all would, but we get distracted because we have an other job that pays money, or we haven't had the results, or we're not doing this, or we're not doing this. I don't think it's in this book, but it's in another book where they said the CEO of major companies, often they give them a task. When they're not seeing results, they tell them to go mow a lawn, because CEOs are wired to see results. And when you mow a lawn well, it's like, oh, that's perfect. That looks really, really good. And so you need to find another way to get internal gratification. Knit something, get a hobby, do something, clean a kitchen, do something that you will see the immediate results, and tell yourself the results are far off, but they're coming. And that links nicely into chapter 5, because you need that long-term goal. You need both. You need to have that big goal of where you're going to, and you need to break it down in little steps. And you need to not say, well, that's so far, I can never get there. You have to break it down. You have to know that your actions are getting you to the place, and you need to keep your eye on the big goal. What is your big goal? And I don't mean like, oh, my big goal, I want to have like my products paid for. No, like pick a big goal, you guys. We did this activity at Gold School, and I wrote a ridiculous number down. I was telling someone, they're like, would you put down for yearly salary? I'm like, I put 10 million. And they're like, does a person need that much? I'm like, you just missed the point. You're making it about you. If I made $10 million a year, how many people would I be helping? And that's the point. What I'm telling myself is there's no limit. I'm not putting a limit on who I'm going to help. I'm focusing on other people. And if that's the amount of people that need help, I'm going to go do that. So I have this giant goal. How can I help that many people if I get stuck in my little world today? And then I break it down and go, okay, so what do I need to do today, this week, this month, to get to that goal? But if you don't have a big goal and just go, I'm just going to see where I'm going to go, and I don't know, and I don't really think I can get there, and no one needs to make 10 million a year. That's a little bit excessive, Shelley. If that's your mindset, then when you don't want to do the work, you're not going to do the work because you have nothing pushing you. Like, that's the point, is to have your goals so big. If you knew that you had to make $1 million because for some reason it would save your family, if not, they'd all die. I like these random crazy thoughts in my head because they help motivate me. But if that was your goal, I guarantee you would all figure it out. But you haven't made your dreams big enough. You haven't believed in them hard enough. And so therefore it is so easy for you all to give up, for me to give up. It's easy. So you have to, 4 and 5 are really linked together. You have got to trust your actions are going to lead somewhere. And you have to have a goal that excites you and makes you nervous and scared and lights an actual fire under your butt. And that leads into momentum.
I was thinking about this the other day. We played our second oldest, Nathan, he is in basketball now. He's in league basketball, and he said, let's go to the courts and let's just practice. And I was like, okay. So we invited a couple of other families. We went and we played, and I was on his team, him and this other little boy, and they would never pass me the ball. And I was like, fine, I'll show you. And we were playing basketball and I made it a point to play hard. And I played hard and I played against the other team and more kids came and I still was the only person, the only adult playing. I'd get the ball and I'd shoot and I missed. I missed like 99% of the time for the first hour and a half. And I was like, we are not done playing until I get my momentum. I got the momentum stealing the ball. Now I have to get my momentum shooting the ball and actually getting it in. And we played and played, and I finally did it where they'd give me the ball every time after like that last 30 minutes, they'd give me the ball every time. And I found my spot. I found the groove. I found my spot on the court where I could shoot it and nail it every time. So this I feel is like the momentum in our businesses, right? It is clunky and you are playing the game and you're doing the things for the first hour and a half or year and a half or however long it is. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm not sinking any baskets yet. Or like no business builders have come. Why isn't anyone seeing the vision? I'll be honest, I've had these thoughts. Right. And it's like, the momentum I feel is not necessarily results oriented. Are you in a groove? Are you in the consistent actions daily? Like the 5 things that Shelley had talked about. If you were to do the 5 things every single day, that would pay you money, or that you knew you would make, all your money. In what, sorry, thoughts. Okay, we're good. But if you knew that by doing those actions every single day, you would get there, would you do them, right? If I can steal the ball down a court and I knew that all I had to do was get the ball to take the shot, all I had to do was get in a conversation to make an offer, or get in a conversation and foster that relationship to then make an offer. It might not be right away. I might have to pass the ball around. I might have to go back and forth in conversation a little bit, but then eventually you take the shot. And if they say no, okay, that was a miss, not a big deal. So go do it again. Go do it again and again. And that is what creates your momentum, the doing, and not necessarily the results, but the actions. You have to be in constant action every day. That's your momentum, I feel. Shelley, number 7.
We're quickly going to wrap this up. I think it's hilarious that me and Paige thought this will only take 10 minutes. Like when we went back and forth in voice memos, it was like 3 minutes. I'm like, we can probably stretch it to 10. Anyways, we're almost done here. Point 7, you can read what it says. It's about that you have to earn it, not inherit it. But here's the thing. Here's the place where people get stuck on earning it, is drama around something. It's often success. Do you have money issues? Do you have thoughts around belief? All the things we've talked about. What are your fears? And you have got to be honest about your fears. I think one of the things that, even in the Christian life, right? Something bad happens and people go, that's okay. God has the best plan. And there's this fake positivity of, you just have to be okay with it and know that that's the plan, but we can still be frustrated. And I think we know what to say. We've all come to enough meetings that we can fool anyone into saying what we think they want to hear and that what we need to say. But if you're not honest about the fears holding you back, you're never going to get there. And the lucky thing for you, in a second, you're going to get to tell us those fears. But you have to be really honest about them. So Paige is going to wrap up, and then we're going to get you guys to share some thoughts.
Okay, so really quickly, I was reading in a different book, and it'll be like a whole other book study later, but that 10x is easier than 2x. And it came to this one paragraph that just like, anyway, here's the paragraph. When you're in a world of needing, you always have to justify what you need because the needing world is one of scarcity. If you need something scarce, you have to rationalize why you should have it rather than someone else. And so when you think, so 2 points he makes, and I'll be quick, is one, wanting something is about abundance and creations. Creativity is not a scarce resource, and it doesn't take anything from anyone else. That's awesome. So it creates new resources. Creativity creates new resources. Wanting requires no justification. When you want something, you don't need to justify why you want that to anyone else. Which I find like, thanks, you've just given me permission to want so much more. Like, I just want it. And people might say, well, why do you need that? Well, no, no, no. I want it because I want it. The end. End of story. So now we're going to turn the time kind of to you for like a little bit, for like 7-10 minutes. And I'm trying to like look at the time. And like Shelley said, like, what are your, going through these bullet points, or these number 1 to 7, what were some things that stood out to you? What is
What
I
scared
know,
you? The
yes.
place that you felt kicked in the gut, or the thing that scared you, that's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear what you're good at. We all can see you guys are all good at amazing things. Let's be honest about what scared you. Where's your hole? I think Barb raised her hand. Yeah.
I didn't, but I'll go first, just because my heart's pounding, and I've been holding gold for I think 4 or 5 years now, and I keep saying this. And the biggest thing I know now for a fact is I've been holding it. I've never dropped rank, so I'm holding on so tight to what I have that it keeps me from going forward. Bottom line.
That is so good, Barb, because if you think about it, if you're holding tight to something, you can't open your hands for blessing. You can't open your hands to do more. When you're holding tight, it's exactly what Paige talked about. It's the scarcity mindset. When you're scared of losing something, you show up differently. Like, you hold on because you're so scared, but by letting go, you're probably gonna maybe lose rank once, and you're probably gonna fail and fall on your face. But then through that, you're gonna learn the thing you need to do to launch forward. And it's so much safer to stay holding tight, right? Because we're not going to fail. And that's, we're going to get to that in the next chapter. But we have to fail to get to figure it out. And so, Barb, thank you for sharing that. I know it's probably really hard. Yeah, it's familiar. So relatable, right? Anyone else? And we believe in you, Barb. We're passing the baton. We all believe in you. We've seen you. We know you. If your heart's pounding like Barb did, that's your cue to just share. It doesn't have to be much. Just, what are you afraid of? What are you? Well, we're going to have sharing time at the end. So if no one has anything, this is your going once, we'll move on. And then maybe at the end, it's very connected. Chapters 3 and 4 are going to nicely together. So you'll still have more time to share. Going once, going twice. Sold. Okay. So chapter 4, I'm going to get really personal about me and Fred's personalities right now. So Fred is a researcher. He is a get it right person. He doesn't make mistakes. He goes into things. He knows all the facts. All of the things, right? He can do it. I'm a little bit more impulsive, and I'm more of a get it done person. And we just had a funny conversation, because if you saw me, if I was at your house for supper and I did dishes after, you would literally think I was the cleanest, most amazing person, because I will wash your stove and I'll wash your fridge and I'll wash the cupboards, and people are like, wow, what does your house look like? Not this. Because when I'm at your house, I have time, I'm relaxed, and I like perfection. However, when I'm pushed into a corner, I'm a get it done person. So right now there is so many things happening, and Fred goes to me, I'm trying to understand your new way of with the kitchen. I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm trying to understand my new way too. So this is what it looks like. Like, if you're wondering why I did something, I probably had the same thought. This is network marketing, you guys. There is get it right people and get it done people. We have learned to work together. The first time we did a renovation project, we pretty much almost nailed each other and glued each other to the wall, because he wanted to do it perfectly. And I was like, let's just get it done. Let's experiment. Let's do things. Here's the problem. In do-it-yourself projects, you kind of need that. Paige knows this. Like, you kind of can't be like, well, I think this is how you throw up a wall. Let's try. You need to be precise. You need to measure, you need to have the exact things. The same thing with cooking. A lot of recipes, baking, Cooking is free flow. Baking, you need to be precise or things not going to turn out. Network marketing is more like cooking than baking. There's a structure. There's a loose recipe. You need to talk to people. You need to sign them up. You need to support them. You need to turn those people into leaders, rinse, wash, repeat. That is the thing. The ingredients and how you get there, you can do really good soup on a stove, in a crock pot, or in an Instapot. The result's going to be the same, and you're going to do it differently. And if I get Marge's Instapot recipe and try to do it on my stove, I'm going to be like, this didn't work out. So the thing that with network marketing that's hard, you're going to fail a lot. We're going to tell you to do something, or Marge is going to tell me to do something. I'm going to try it, and it doesn't quite play because I have to add my flavor to it. I have to be me. I have to be authentic. People get stuck in the research land. People get stuck. You can be a professional at book studies. You can go to every single book study. You can listen to every single podcast. But if you don't actually do the thing, you are not going to move forward. And I've heard this before. People go, I'm in every book study and I've done all the things and I listen to nothing but podcasts and I'm not going anywhere, because you have to apply it. And applying is scary for some people. For me, I don't have a problem applying because I'm a professional failure and I'm okay with that. I've had many jobs where there's been no roadmap for my careers and jobs. And so I've had to fail and figure it out and learn. So I've learned to become comfortable with that. If you're a perfectionist and you want to know the exact plan, buckle up. It's going to be hard. You need to accept that you're going to fail. You need to accept that implementing is learning, and you need to accept it's going to look different. We're seeing Marge at her chapter 20. Her chapters 1 and 2 were probably really messy. So when she tells you to do something, do it, listen, but also know she's in her personality, she's in her strength, and she's done a lot of failing to get there. And so this is the hard part of it, is that anything you need to know, you can learn. You do have giant holes. And by being honest about these, figuring out what you need to do, learning, trying, failing, that's the way you're going to get there. And if that makes you uncomfortable, you're going to need to own that. Paige.
It's so funny, Kate, when you were talking about DIYs. So I love DIYs. I'm sure you've all followed stories. But I was just thinking of our living room one, and I'm not going to get into like whatever, but basically I do, you know how there are that like trending whatever reel, and it's like, here's mom math, and I have to cook, if we have to be here, then I have to be here, and then I have to be here. So that's kind of like how I do DIYs. Breton is very much like Fred, like he is a planner, and that is why I do not let him in on any of my projects now, because we're saving a marriage that way. And anyway, so I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, I need to buy this and buy this and buy this, and I need to put this up. And then Breton will come down, he calls himself my consultant, and he'll go, well, aren't you gonna like fill the holes and sand those first? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I went to step 7 first, and then I'll work my way back. And that's exactly like it. Like, okay, so jump around, try new things. But also there are basics, right? Like studs in the wall are set, they are exact, they should be 16 inches apart. They should be in like a good house. Anyway, but like those are the set things, right? So we have like our daily IPA, that is a set thing, right? Whatever that looks like to you, that's a set thing for you, just like those studs. Like that they're gonna be there, that those are the tasks that you're gonna take care of. But also find people in this process who are where you want to be, who model what it is you want to do, right? Keith Callahan says, how have they reinvented themselves? Maybe you need somebody, and that's okay. That's great. Do that. I've totally lost my train of thought with this, 100%. Anyway, it doesn't matter how you get there. Oh my gosh, I just like completely one out the other. Jeez Louise.
I think the point we're supposed to make, and you can cut me off when you did, is that there's going to be something that you're going to say, I can't do that, or I'm not willing to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that where you were going, Paige?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, would you like to finish then?
Sure, that's exactly where I was going. Well, Shelley pretty much said it. There is going to be something that you're going to say, I'm not willing to do that. And maybe you haven't thought of that, because I don't think I've actually sat down to say, what am I not willing to do? What am I not willing to do? If somebody asked me to do it, do something, I'm pretty sure I would do it. I'd be terrified, but I'm pretty sure I would do it. So I don't know if you've sat to think about it, but I mean, everyone's got something. We just have to discover what it is. But in that, there are things that you said you're not willing to do. What you know, if you say I'm an introvert, I don't talk to people, I don't connect that way, I don't like social media, I don't whatever. Anytime you say I'm not or I don't or I will not, you're putting yourself in a box. Like this is where the creativity comes in and we get to think in abundance, right? Instead of when you say I can't, I won't, I'm not willing, you literally that's scarcity and you've put yourself in this box, right, with this lid or whatever. And so this chapter is all about creating action and creating an action plan, and they're really great steps at the end of the book. And so what was the biggest take home? We're going to open it up again to you.
And I thought of one
Yeah,
thing,
oh,
Paige,
yes.
interrupt,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna share. One of the things for me of what I'm not willing to do was in the beginning, I had a little bit of drama and stress and one bad experience with month end. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be one of those at month end where I'm doing all the things. And then what would happen is so I'd be like really focused at working hard during the month and doing all the things. So at the end of the month, I had no one extra to add. So I'd be like all proud of myself in the beginning, but then I was adding no points. And I was looking at my points recently, about 4 months ago at month end. I had, again, I'd done all the things. So I'm like, okay, what else can I do? I can make new connections. I can do this. I can go on Instagram. I can make new friends. I can join new groups. I can do all these things. And there's been 2 months. And I mean, a large part of that, I have an amazing team. Like Erin's on my team. And when Erin puts her nose to the ground, I think 1 month she signed up 8 people. I think 12 is her record in 1 month, maybe 8. It's big. Anyways, in 2 days, our team had 50 points. And we're not like a giant team. We're not like a diamond team. We're a senior gold team. So that's like a lot of points in 2 days. But it's because I got out of the mentality of saying, I'm not going to do that at month end. I'm not going to be one of those hustlers. I'm like, I'm going to work hard at month end, whether it's helping me. If I'm tapped out, how can I help my people? And if my people are good and there's literally nothing, I'm just going to go make more friends. I'm going to do more this. I'm going to do more that. There's something, but I was so unwilling to do it that I was at the 28th, my growth would stop. And I didn't realize it because I didn't say, I'm not willing to do that. It came across as a judgment. I'm being really honest here, you guys. So don't like pin me to the wall for this, but it came across as a judgment. Well, maybe those people didn't work, so they have to do all at the end. Now they're needy and scarce, and so they have to push. And I'm not going to be like that because I'm going to work really, really hard all month. And you can judge me for saying that, but I guarantee you have your own judgments. We all do. So we take what we think and we know about life, what we know about money, what we think about success, what we think about all of the things, and then we look at how other people do it differently. And when other people do it differently than us, we can think of it 2 ways. Wow, they're amazing. Isn't that interesting? That's a fun way of doing it. And if it makes us afraid, we're going to judge it. We're going to judge it because we don't want to do it. And so we have to it's your brain can't live in, it's called cognitive dissonance. Your brain can't live there. So if Paige is doing something really impressive that's really hard, I can look at it and go, wow, that's amazing. If I want to level up, I have to do that. And if I'm not willing to do it, I'm going to judge the crap out of her and say, hey, that's just Paige. That's what do-it-yourselfers do. All do-it-yourselfers are the same. I'm not going to be like her because I'm not that. And I'm just going to go there. So when you're judging someone, pay attention because what you're judging them for, that's probably the thing you're not willing to do, but you don't want to say it. So you're just saying, I'm this. And I think one of the big things we fall behind, and I've heard this so many times, you guys, is money. Well, I don't need that much money. I love living humbly. I'm a Christian. I'm just going to let God guide the process. Awesome, right? That's awesome. But is it getting to you to where you want to go? And are you helping people in the process? Anyways, I digress. So now, like Paige said, we're turning it over to you. What are the hard things? What are the moments? If you share, it will benefit you because then you will know and we can share it and we can celebrate you. And once you say it out loud, it reflects different in your brain and you can deal with it better. So what are you afraid of? Stacy, you're new. Are you afraid? We're just gonna start picking on people. This is a safe place. There's literally nothing, you guys, me and Paige have talked a lot. There's nothing you could say that would be like, wow, I've never heard that before. I think between the two of us, we have every single scarcity mindset drama thought, like I was going to say in a week, probably in a month. There's nothing you can say that is going to make us go, wow.
Well, I've never been a fan of talking on my own videos and posting them because I just sound how I sound and I don't like the way I sound. But I did that yesterday. I posted a video of it. I put some music in the background to make it less quiet. So I'm very proud of that. And just like doing new stuff. It's scary. I'm not used to it. So I usually try to stay away from that. But I mean, I try to tell myself what's the worst that can happen because I'm trying to earn my way to the cruise, as crazy as that sounds. But I mean, Shelly sends me messages and she's excited for me to go. And Mark makes references that remind me that I'm working towards this for February. So very excited. And I'll do the scary if I have to.
That's really good, Stacy. But like two things, don't say it's crazy for you to go. Why is it crazy for you to go? You deserve to be there like anyone else and you can do it like anyone. And so you have to start flipping that to, I deserve to be there and I'm going to do all the things to get there. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is your voice sounds lovely. You sound like Stacy and Stacy's perfect and beautiful, right? In the right image. And even if it's the smallest thing like our voice, if we have the smallest hesitation about the smallest part of us, we're going to show up differently. You have to show up like there's someone out there that loves the sound of my voice, that loves all the words coming out, and they need to hear exactly what I'm going to say. If 300 people hear it and you're doing it for one person, that's the confidence you show up in. So it's like awesome because I get it too. Like I get it. I hated doing things online and talking, and now it's just like whatever. This is me. This is how I roll. So you're doing amazing. We're so proud of you, and you will be on the cruise, and you will just. This is a learning step. This is so good, Stacy. Good job. Anyone else?
And
I also think that, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Stacey. Go ahead.
I keep telling myself that I deserve to have my husband home and not have him away for a month and a half hauling cows. I mean, he loves doing that and that was his like dream job, but he's been like begging for days off. He hasn't had days off except for today since like June. So yeah.
There's your why. There's your why. A little bit pertaining to what you said about like, we don't like the way that we sound. I think that's every person alive, right? You're always going to critique yourself the worst. You yourself are your own worst critic, right? And like Shelly said, other people do not hear what you hear. They absorb the things that you share like a sponge. They don't even care if you say things wrong or not. And then all of a sudden you have a few people that take the time to message you and say that you said nitric acid instead of nitric oxide. And I know that it's nitric oxide. And I said, good on you. You've never shared yet. You've never changed a life. You've never made a difference anywhere, but you have the time to correct me. Thank you. I needed that. It doesn't matter. Critics are everywhere. Critics are everywhere. Just share who you are. The right people will attach themselves to you. Like that's what matters, truly. I just laughed at that.
I would like to share what I'm scared of. I'm afraid at this stage in the game for me and how fast I'm learning and all the things I'm absorbing and where I want to go. I'm just afraid that I will create another team and then I will revert back to what I was doing before. That's a huge fear of mine. I know I don't want to do that, and I know that I want to do the steps every day to lead myself forward. But what if that happens and all of those people are let down and left behind? And that's, I think, what is the thing that's been holding me back in the last couple of days, just mentally holding me back. Because I don't want to let anybody down and I don't want to seem like a flake. And I think that's part of the reason why my Well, I think I figured out where that's coming from. Part of the reason why I'm starting over again is because of what I heard from one person, or from my other team, and I'm like, oh, well, I thought I was doing a good job in that area. Apparently I wasn't, and it was quite critical. And so now I just remembered that. Anyway, maybe I had to say it out loud to figure out where it came from, but I am really, it still is a fear of mine that I'm not going to show up the way I need to for my team.
Penny, that's really brave of you to really share that. And I don't like anybody else can comment on that. I just want to share a little bit of my experience in that area. I feel like every time that I went for another rank, I had that feeling. What's going to happen when all these people come in and I can't be who they need me to be? And I've got news for you. You will never be who they need you to be, because they first need to become who they need to become. They're not being who they are supposed to be and their best self because they're looking to you for what you are lacking. Your lack will never hold them back from being their full potential. Never. And you know what? The lack that I have is often actually a blessing to a lot of you guys on my team, simply because you can step in with your strengths and bring that alongside. And so to that one person that gave you that criticism, where is she now? How far has she gone? How successful has she been? How many lives has she changed? Is she talking daily to people and helping them and coaching and encouraging? Or was she just willing to point a finger and say, well, Penny didn't do this, and so now I'm out? Well, you know what? You got to let those I'm out people go. And you also, when you let them go, you also say, I'm going to let go of what they made me feel like, and I'm going to clean that out, and I'm going to leave that with them, because it will suck you into a vortex and it will keep you stuck for the longest time. And why am I saying this? Because I know it too well. I hate with a passion leaving people behind. And it kills me every time someone leaves, never mind when a leader leaves. You, as the leader, see your people in their full potential. You yourself see yourself with all your flaws, right? And so when someone criticizes you as a leader, that's very, very common. But you also have to understand that the only reason that they are doing it is because they are not willing to do the hard thing to grow themselves. And so shortcomings as a leader is a blessing, and it's also a growth opportunity, right? You can fly, Miss Penny. Go get that new team. You have every possibility.
Well, and I think the thing too is it's like, you know, as a mom, I think a lot of us are moms, or as a woman, we all have that. We want to fix things for people. But at the end of the day, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And you have your name on your paycheck and they have their name on their paycheck. Leaders leave all the time. It's hurtful. It's devastating. People go, okay, now what do I do? But at the end of the day, each individual person has the choice to pick themselves up and to figure out what they need. It's in chapter 4. What do you need to do? I can guarantee if you went into Abundant Wellness Collective, Team Awesome, then the internet, if you got stuck, I don't know how to blank, you will find resources. The resources in our back offices are unlimited. So yes, we have to lead well, but we have to take the pressure off. And this is what I do. This is my, you know, fault, is I try to put my pressure on. If people on my team aren't doing what they want to do, I take it on myself. Where have I gone wrong as a leader? How haven't I helped them? What can I do differently? And I go into this mode of helping, but at the same time, they have to figure that out too. I did. Margin, like a lot of us did. We do, because we're walking alongside leaders who are also learning, right? We're learning with people. So very few of us come into this with someone on as our upline that knows exactly everything perfectly. That doesn't happen. We're all learning us alongside each other. Thank you so much for sharing, Penny. So good. Yeah, figuring out. Anyone else have a moment where they're like, oh, bam, this is it. I'm like looking for the microphones going off, and I'm like, do we call on people? Because this is really good, you guys, like hearing your experiences. And like Penny said, she said it out loud and she feels it differently. Like you hear it and you're like, oh, that's what it is. By you saying it out loud in front of us, you might actually get to the root of the problem in a new way.
I was just thinking of two things, but they're tied together. You know, when someone says, oh, you're so capable, you're so capable. Being capable and being willing are two different things, right? This is just the thought that's running in my head. So when he says, like, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to not do? I was thinking, Stacey, of your example of like, you did a video, you spoke. And I was thinking, oh, would I be willing to do that? Well, I've never done it. And all of a sudden my heart started racing because I was like, could I ever do a video and talk on it? What would I say? What would it, is there even quality there that would come out of my voice? Like, do you know what I mean? And it makes you think all the thoughts, which is crazy. So I'm going to take that challenge and be like, okay, well, if I'm willing to do it, then I'm going to do it. And I don't think it needs to be like this huge grand, I'm not willing to do whatever. Maybe it's, I'm not willing to work on Fridays or whatever, like whatever. Is that the thing that is stopping your success? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But anyway, being capable and being willing are two different things, and it doesn't have to be huge.
That's so good. Yeah. Being capable and being willing. Because even if it's something you're not going to do, when your brain hears, I'm not willing to, it starts to close in on you. And it starts to put limitations around what your brain thinks it heard. And I always remind people, your brain is like a toddler without a nap that's been given lots of sugar, and now you're trying to rein it in. And so it's your job to manage that little toddler, right? And I think all of us, whether you're a mom or not, you know, you would not be putting yourself in that situation, right? And so when you say, I'm not willing to, and you're thinking about business, your brain associates it with it and it starts capping it. So even if there's something that you really don't want to do, like I really want to take Sundays off, by saying I'm not willing, you're saying never, ever, ever. There's going to be exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule. So by saying, what could I do? Like Paige said, am I willing? Whether you do the thing or not, you're going to go farther if you expand and say, okay, what could I do? How could I make that work? Instead of I'm not willing to do that, how could I make that work? How could I keep my values or keep this and also make that work? It's opening your brain up to being flexible. And that's what's going to move you forward. We have a couple minutes left. Does anyone else want to share? Lisa, you look deep in thought. Do you want to share anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking that big part of my fear is just not knowing enough and then letting people down. Like people are putting their trust in me when I'm selling products that are supposed to help them be healthy, and I don't want to let people down.
It's a very, very common thought. And I think we put that weight all ourselves on our shoulders, and then we carry it. And then when someone quits, we're like, okay, see, affirming the evidence. See, they quit. I couldn't give them what they wanted. And newsflash, Lisa, they're responsible for themselves. People only quit on themselves. You are the bridge in gapping the, okay, you're offering a solution, and then you build the bridge and say, look, here's the solution. They get to choose if they want to take it or not, right? And just like Shelley spoke to it already before, there's so many resources. Like if people come in for products only and even for business, and they decide, I'm going to go find the answers. There's got to be answers around this. They will find them. They will find them. And the other piece, we're all adults. We're all like if I buy a gym membership and I say to the gym owner, are you going to make sure that I'm here every day? Like, are you going to come knock me out of bed? He's going to be like, no, honey, you're big. You do that yourself. Like, as much as it sucks, you got to get up by yourself. Like, you're a big girl, you know? And I think that's not a mindset to let people down. You're still coaching, you're still encouraging, you're still believing, but they have to actually swallow the pills and believe that it works, right?
I actually think that's a great business idea, though. A gym that picks you up and drags you to the gym.
It would be a lot of non-believing people and angry ones too.
But thank you for sharing that, Lisa, because I think that's a really big one. It's a huge one. And yeah, and that will hold us back too, because then we don't want to Because if we have this belief we're going to let people down, we're not going to talk to people. We're going to look at people and go, they're too sick. I've never dealt with someone with this issue. I've never dealt with that. I'm too afraid. And at some point, it's like the pills have worked, the products have worked for so many people. I believe that they work. And if it doesn't work for, I have one person right now, she's tried everything, it's not working. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in the products. There's something that we just haven't figured out. And if they want to dive in with me, great. And if they don't, that's like, I can't do anything about that, right? We probably have time for one more. Does anyone else want to share? Thank you again, Lisa.
I'll go. Marge, you got my heart pumping now.
I saw your comment.
Yeah.
I saw your
I
comment.
think you kind of know what I'm going to be talking about. For a long time, I had a team member tell me that, or insinuate and constantly tell us that we weren't deserving to be leaders of a team, that we weren't deserving of our paychecks off of her back. And that really filtered into my mind that I wasn't a good leader and that I wasn't capable. I came to this revelation at Gold School. And I keep thinking to myself now, why am I still allowing her to have this hold on me? I need to let that go. And it's a hard spot to come to because I know it's a lot of mindset work. Because I know I'm capable. But I have to also realize I have to now be willing as well. And that's a hard spot for me. And so I kind of get what you're talking about, Penny. I need to speak against those lies.
Thank you so much for sharing, Melinda. I know, I think we all can appreciate that to a different degree. And other people see different things in you. Other people see value. And this is something that I say very respectfully and very cautiously, that when we believe that lie and we hold ourselves back, we're making it about us and we're keeping someone else from hearing and benefiting from our gifts. There are people right there in the world right now that need you, Melinda. They don't need someone else. They don't need a shinier, prettier, more amazing, more polished version. They need you in your form right exactly now, exactly how you are, who you are. They need you to show up as you so they can show up as them and they can do their thing. And when we really grasp that, when we really go, I'm just here to serve. Who do I serve every morning? God, who do you want me to serve? How do you want me to serve? How do you want me to show up? And when you see yourself the way we see you, the way we see the goodness, it's accepting that. And it's hard. And it's that I compare it to like driving a standard, learning to drive a standard. I was so frustrated learning to drive a standard and everyone told me how to do it. And my sister was so patient. She's like, she would just let me drive her car and grind her gears like crazy. She never got mad. And she's like, one day you'll get it and you'll be like, well, that was easy. And it's not that I wasn't doing it. You just have to find the sweet spot. And as soon as you find the sweet spot, you're like, there it is. And you just have to release that. And there's so many different ways to do that. But we see the goodness in you, Melinda, and we believe in you. And we want you to release that lie too, because we want you to show up how you are, how amazing you are. And I'm so very sorry that happened to you. And thank you so much for sharing. And you got this. Like, you are perfectly you.
I didn't mean to like call you out on it, Melinda. I saw your comment and I felt like there's so much there that I know that you are holding back on. And like I said before, like if people saw themselves the way that your leader sees you, in the gifts that you have, and the things that you are able to do better than I can do, in the people that you have helped, Melinda, you have shown up with such wisdom and confidence over so many years. Like people soak in your wisdom, right? And then there's this one person that decided to place a lie on you. And in this business, it's even harder because we're all connected in how we build our teams, right? But you also, again, can do the same thing Penny is that I said to Penny. Where is she now? She wasn't willing to stick it out. She wasn't willing to grow herself. She wasn't willing to get past it. She had a limited amount of influence and she rode that until it was gone. Now the truth is here. The truth is that you are still here. The truth is you're still helping those people. The truth is you're still the leader they need you to be. Right? And so to speak that over yourself, very, very powerful. I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you so much.
And you do deserve it, Melinda. Like, just own that. You deserve it. You deserve it. I deserve this. Just say that to yourself. Just when you leave here, go and be like, I deserve this.
And this will be such a huge piece in your journey going forward of how you can, you know, how when you learn something and then you're like, okay, now I know not what to do. Because that lesson hurt so much to learn that you're going to go forward and never have that perception of your people in your team. And you're going to make sure that they don't ever feel that feeling, right? And it's very necessary that people should not ever have to feel this.
All right, that's pretty much an hour. Is there anything else, Paige? Is there any last thoughts you want to wrap us up with?
I do not. But just, I guess in closing, you guys, like sitting here has filled my bucket so much. We're all so human, and this book brings out like all the humanness in us in this industry. And I think it's just important to give yourself grace. And I'm going to take my own advice, but give yourself grace and like, it might be goofy, but go and talk to yourself in the mirror and say, hey, look, hey, you deserve this. And like high five yourself because you deserve it. And you can want things. You can want things without being ashamed. You can want things.
Guys, I'm just going to share one thing. I just got my text from Plexus Pay Wallet.
See, and you deserve it.
To say this right now, I deserve this.
Yes, every penny. Yeah.
Paige,
I love that happen now. Yeah, every penny, you deserve it. You've earned it.
I love this so much. This has been like, it filled my bucket.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Keep reading, keep talking. You're going to be processing as you read the next chapters. Things will be settling in differently. So keep talking to people, talk to your side sisters, talk to your upline, your downline, and keep being honest and just really digging deep. Because this, if you let this impact you, it will change. It will change. So we can't wait to see you next week, chapters 5 and 6. And everyone have a good week.